Cool, cool, cool.
Let's go. Greetings, friends. Welcome to Free Range Thinking. We are here again in our cozy recording case, ready to dive into some interesting topics and rabbit holes. I'm Alex Carl.
And I'm Sharon Lee. And every week we serve up a delicious buffet of neurodivergent topics, discussions, questions, and explorations, and just weird shit in general around the subject of living as a neurodivergent human. I knew that would make you laugh. We enjoy talking about and celebrating how people like us can not only thrive in today's world, but prosper, because the world desperately needs neurodivergent humans to bring real transformation and evolution to mankind.
And we are the keys through the shitstorm of the one-size-fits-all world. And that is no joke.
That is no joke, my friend. That is why we're here. We have a mission.
Yes. Yeah, and today we did a little bit of we picked like 10 or 12. We went through 10 or 12 of our downhill parkings, and landed on one that wasn't an official downhill parking, but some note I made in that I particularly was very interested in.
Yes, me too.
In Sharon's take on that, and that is DAOs. The Decentralized Autonomous Organizations. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm excited to talk about this. And I know we have a lot of things at downhill parking. We say, oh, we could talk about this. And then we get together on a Monday. We're like, oh, we have to talk about another thing. Mm-hmm. And so I love that we have a list of things. I don't think we'll ever run out of subjects to talk about. But this one in particular strikes me right now because I'm involved, getting involved and have my toes in a number of different DAO communities. And so as I go, I learn more about what I don't know. And I'm at a point now where I can speak about them, not from an authoritative point of view by any stretch of the imagination, but I've got a better grasp on the ones that I feel more comfortable working in. And so that's an amazing place to be. Mm-hmm. And listening to podcasts. And I think before we put a link from one of them. If we didn't, I will send that to you. Mm-hmm. And we can put that in again. I'm sure it came up in previous conversations. And so I can give you tips on like where to look and what to listen to kind of get your head around it. And figure out like what's this all about, because it's chock full of opportunities, which is pretty exciting, I think, for neurodivergence, because these communities seem to appreciate what we have, which is very different experience than what I'm used to. And walking into a company and going, okay, I have to hide this, I have to mask that. And with these communities, they don't see it like that. Well, not the ones that I'm involved in for sure, but there's a lot of them out there. And so that you can just kind of come into the community and start to get to know people, but you can bring your whole self. And I find that very exciting, very, very exciting.
But well, how would you describe the DAOs? So what are they?
It's a decentralized autonomous organization, and that's just the name of what these are. Some of them have more of a structure than others of them. So it's whatever you prefer. There's a number of different ways that they're structured, and the groups decide, and the people who start them decide. So they decide, like somebody will start one and then they'll say, okay, I want it to be totally autonomous. Those, for me, aren't the most fun places for me to be in. It's just, it's a little bit frustrating for me. It's kind of what I call like trying to herd cats. So it's, I like the ones that have kind of, and different groups describe themselves in different ways. So what I can do is kind of describe the ones that I like that will then give people a comparison. Because if you don't know what you're looking at, you look at it and you're like, well, what is it? How does this, what the hell am I looking at? Because we've got no frame of reference if, for the people that start off and they don't know anything about them. So this is where I'm going to start off. Yeah. So I can give you what the ones that I'm involved, that I like being involved in. And then I could, then when you're looking at them, you're like, okay, here's another kind, here's another kind, here's another kind. So like I said, some of them are very loosely structured. And sometimes if the people involved, aren't used to being in that kind of a structure, it can be a little bit frustrating and slow to form the thing. I prefer a situation where somebody or a few somebodies have started the group, but yet it's still open and flexible. So if you want, it's whatever you want, however you want to participate. And sometimes, and I like the ones that have like a core person or a couple people, like a little core group that already has it, the idea of the group fleshed out. This is what I prefer, is stepping into something where they already have their idea, and but they're still in the beginning stages, kind of forming it. And the ones that I like, it's almost like a concentric circles. So there's like the core group, and then there's a circle around that where people are experimenting with, say, doing some of the admin of it, where somebody jumps in and says, okay, I can do like the emailing of the group, or I can set up a Slack channel, and I can set up the documents within these tools. So I like it when I walk in and there's these kinds of things, the very basics have already been established. It's easier for me. Then I know what I'm doing. Now later on, I might shift and want to be in one kind of at the beginning.
Do you know if there's something like a blueprint on how to start a DAO? so that you can say, okay, you use Slack or you use Discord for communication. You can use this.
No, it's like the Wild West out there right now. So there's this is the podcast that I'm going to recommend, and I'm not going to pull it up here. We'll have it in the show notes. But these people are talking about it, and they have lots of experience, and they've made mistakes, and they explain why they have come to the point where they're doing one where it's open, but they have the core group. And when they explained it, why they have a core group instead of completely autonomous, then I was like, that makes sense to me. Because some of the decision making and what, the housekeeping stuff, if that is kind of handled by a core group, it seems like it runs smoother. And so, but these people, the core group, I think, of course, it's, my opinion, but there's, I like it when these people are sophisticated enough and have enough emotional intelligence. When I say sophisticated, I mean with like emotional intelligence and working with groups. They have the experience, but not necessarily long-term experience. They just understand what it means to work with people, and so that they're ready to help people, develop in different roles. But they're not like, okay, you do this, you do that. They're not directive. They're like this one woman. I can give you an example. And we had a first talk. We talked for like an hour, and she said, and they were planning on a, it's called the future of work is this particular one, and I like them so much. So I have to give her a shout out. Hold on, I'm going to pull up the the Slack. So it's the future of work, and Lena. And so she's, I think, originally from the Netherlands, but she's out in San Francisco. And these people are from all over the world, which I like. These are the ones I like, the ones that are very, very global. And so they're used to working globally, and they understand what that means, so that you don't have to kind of teach anybody. So the people that gravitate towards them are very, very global. So that's the kind of group that I like. And because otherwise you're in the position of having to educate the people around how to do that and what a global culture means. So right out of the gate, these are the cultures I go for. These are the groups that I go for. And so Lena has started this. So it's one person starting this thing. And so she did it was a summit where all of us were in there. It was like, I think, was it 3 days or something? And it seemed like 3 days. It might have been 48 hours. and so when we were talking, and she said, hey, do you maybe want to kind of be a facilitator in the in-between rooms, in between each of the chunks? And I was brand new. And she said, how does that sound? Does that sound like fun to you? And I said, actually, yes, that sounds like fun to me. And I've never had anybody recognize what might be fun for me. And say it like that and put it across like that. And so then I just jumped in, and we had meetings, and I had meetings with a couple other people, and we're like, okay, what do we do? How do we do this? Let's set it up. And so it was great. It was great. I just loved it. And so we're coming back after the summer. So this week we actually have a meeting of like, okay, what do we do next? Where do we take this? What do we do? Because all of us are interested in like the future of work, and it's kind of like, which is a big crossover with future of education. And, what do we do with this if we have this group of people? What, do we want to do? Because you can do anything within the framework. And so that's what this next meeting is going to be very interesting to see what people after the summer have been thinking about, what ideas everybody has, and then kind of as a group, you put all the ideas on the table, and then so I have no idea what direction it's going to go, but you're with a group of people who like that. If somebody doesn't like that, or it feels too unstructured or something, or disorganized, or it's not planned out, or there's no, they're probably better off just working in a company. But we don't know, like we would like to take the group, and people have talked about it, it's like you're taking this group and then maybe getting a contract, together as the group, but it's very flexible. So people would, if like say Lena got a contract, maybe some of the people within the group, it fits their skill sets. So it's almost like a pool. It can be a pool of people like that. It also can be a cause. It depends on what the group is interested in. But the fact that it's open, and you can, I want to say, come and go depending on what you commit to. It's very flexible, which I think for neurodivergence is, high creatives is the best thing ever. I think it's the best thing ever.
Did Lena make some statement what her intention, where this organization could be going is, or is it totally open for her as well? So right now it has been a conference, an online conference, And open space?
No, that was just one thing. That's just one part of it. I'm thinking, oh my God, you're asking me these questions, and if she's listening, sorry, Lena. I should be able to go, oh yes, she's about this and this. I did say I wanted to talk about this, right? And then pull her up as an example.
I phrased the question differently. What could it, or what is your motivation to be in there, and where is it going for you, or what would be
that's a better question.
Your motivation to go there, that it's going to be something like a company, or that it's going in the direction of like a really big pool of people, like a forum where you are communicating about the topic of future of work. What's in it for you?
Oh gosh, a lot of things. I would say the first and foremost, it's a group of really smart people talking about a subject that I'm deeply interested in, and so that's like number one. And you have to be interested. Now there's groups that have, they're like saving the whales, and groups about solar energy. There's a DAO group for everything. So the thing that you want to do if you're at all interested in this is type in something that you're interested, with DAO, say, is there a DAO group around this particular subject? So this is, I'd suggest that right off the bat. And for me, it's, future of work, a future of learning, atypical learning, of course, a lot of the different interests that I have, that's a big overlap. So that's where I started looking, and I would say lurking. And there's amount of lurking in it, because I watch, I go in and listen and look and see, okay, what it is, who's in here.
Let's stay on the topic of learning or atypical learning. Could a DAO be a university? Could you
As it is now, no. The classic university as it is now, absolutely not.
No, that you reimagine a school or university. That you say, okay, I started DAO. As a university, I am interested in free topics, classes, and that I would like to learn. And I am offering to be a DAO professor in these two classes that I really know well.
It's possible. It's whatever we make it to be. This is what's exciting about it. Whatever we can imagine it to be, we can make it. And it's all it takes is a group and a community of people. And if enough people are interested in it, you're off to the races, as they say. And so, and some groups get together and they start doing something and they're like, yeah, you know what, and people get disinterested, and then it just disbands. It doesn't, and this, and groups get together and they say, okay, do we want to continue even? Okay, we did this such and such, is who's interested to keep going is also, parts of the conversation. Of course, there's a hell of a lot of DAOs around, groups around, crypto and blockchain and all this, monetization in the Web3. There's a ton of those, but it's whatever interests us and whatever we want to make of something. And so for me, why I'm interested in this particular group, because there's two others that I'm on the edge of just kind of like, I'm hanging out and discovering like who they are and what they're doing. So I'm not going to mention the other groups. But this one in particular, I like it because it's the future of work. It's very broad, but at the same time, it's so important. It's so critical. And I feel like I can add value in terms of shedding light on the subject of neurodivergence, because other people are bringing in other stuff. And that's the component that I bring in. And yeah, I get a lot of really positive reaction and feedback with it. And I really appreciate, everybody's input, because they're so smart. The people in the, that are gravitating towards the DAOs, they also have that thing of like, they want to be part of something. They want to build something. So we have that component in common. And it's like, I don't know how this could grow, but I have a lot of ideas. And the thing is that my ideas are welcome. And normally people, I'm used to in life, people going, yeah, we're not going to do that. Yeah, we didn't plan that. Yeah, we didn't. And in these groups, the people are like, oh, that's a great idea. Hey, everybody, what do you think? And I'm not used to that. I just love it. I love it. And even if they're crazy or out there might be some component, and then somebody will take the idea and they'll, and you could talk about it and they'll flesh it out, or they'll come back the next week and go, hey, I thought about what you said about this. What about if we did such and such? What do you think of that? And I'm like, oh, that's great. Or, he's like, oh, that would be kind of complex to do. But if we break it down, it's just like other really smart people to play with. I love it.
Is a DAO more about the people, or is there a specific technological aspect of it? So, what differentiates a DAO from a website or from a Slack channel or an online forum?
Wow, those are just tools.
Yeah.
So what are you doing with those tools? You can't you use tools to do things. So those are simply tools. But using a community to solve problems or discover things or experiment or develop something, that's quite interesting. But whatever tools the people use, because some of the groups, they use tools that are just like, it's hard for me to use as a dyslexic. And I'm just like, okay, I can't, I'm having a hard time communicating and dealing with what needs to be dealt with, the communication within the group, because of the tools that a particular group uses. Is like, it's hard, some of the tools.
I Googled a little bit around DAOs last week, didn't dive really deep into it, but it seemed to me that is really, for me, it seemed to be really hard to dive into it or to start with them, because it seems there's a lot of the whole Web3 thing going on, and maybe I'm too old. It was hard for me to wrap my head around. What is it? What it is about? How to enter one, or how to get into it? And how to, it was even hard to find out how I could participate in one when it was sounding interesting.
Okay, some of them are closed, and it's like invitation only. Others of them, they're more open, and they publish, when you start Googling, so like I said, start with an interest that you have. Why would you want to join a DAO I'm trying to think of something that I don't like, but I'm interested in everything. So, but okay, like say like, you know, the creation of, you know, I just can't. I'm having a hard time thinking of something I'm not interested in. Everything it's like, why would I be interested in that? Let's just say, for you know, kind of fashion in terms of like ballroom dancing. Okay, let's just just to throw something out there, something kind of obscure, and because some of this stuff is very obscure, and so, but it's very specific, and the better, I would say, the easier groups are the ones that are very specific and they can say what they're doing. But let's say like fashion design around ballroom dancing. And you have, they're kind of trying to do things in a different way, or they were trying to, you know, what does this group want to do? They want to, you know, online, offline, you know, maybe during the pandemic, how do you, you know, whatever they want to do, the problem so they have come up with problems or challenges that they want to solve that are of interest to them. And say that's, you know, as you're Googling, you're like, that's my passion, that's my interest, ballroom dancing, fashion, yes, you know. Let's say you have that reaction when you come across it. And so you're like, when is their next meeting? Okay, their next meeting is on a Wednesday in 2 weeks. And you're like, okay. And so you contact, you know, there's contact information on there. You say, hey, I just found your group, your community. I'd love to come to a meeting. Now, sometimes when you say they'll say either contact us beforehand, or they'll just say, here, our meeting is on this date, here's the link. You know, and now I in particular go for, like I say, online global. So that is very accessible. There are ones that exist that are, you know, kind of in a big city, like in Paris or something, or, you know, New York. You can, there's enough people condensed that you can meet in person. Anyway, they'll have contact information. So you contact and you go, hey, I'd love to come to a meeting and see what you guys are doing. You know, I'm interested in this. You know, I love that. I love fashion and dance, how it comes together, blah, blah, blah. And so you show up at the first meeting and you just hang out and maybe you talk to people, maybe you just watch. But pay attention. What's the vibe? Can you see yourself hanging out with these people? Do you want to work with them? Do you want to play with them? You know, what is it that you think you can do in the community, within the community? What would you like to do within the community? What ideas do you have from what you've been listening to as they're having their meeting? You know, what comes to your mind? So you just pay attention, you know, and it might be like, wow, this is really perfect, but it's like, yeah, I don't like anybody in this group. Fine. Don't force yourself in the group for something where this. So you know, it's like the longer answer is yes, it's about the people, because it's not a job where you're getting somebody's hiring you and putting you in a position. You're choosing whether you want to hang out or not. And therefore, you can, you know, choose a group that you want to hang out with the people. The group has to be a good group fit. And so, you know, if that group didn't like really, you didn't connect with them at all. I mean, and you also might want to give yourself 2 or 3 meetings to decide that, instead of just going, yeah, I don't like them, you know. Maybe it's you that's difficult, not the group, right? And so, you know, give it a few goes, yeah.
Would you say it's a little bit like, do you know the concept in Germany of a Verein?
Yeah, yes, very much so.
So it's, I mean, the translation of Verein in German would be club, but I think the most people associate more like a building or like a country club or so with the word club.
No, and it's a club is just a group that gets together around things that they're interested in.
Okay, so it could be compared that that a DAO might be something like a digital modern version of a club where you can
Could
go.
be. I like the modern version of, because it's not. It's in a. Here's the thing with a club. A lot of times it you have somebody running it.
Yeah.
And then there's, and there's a set thing, and there's it's a setup, and then this is the person, and who's got the control.
Yeah, that's the thing in Germany with the Verein.
Well, in Germany,
you have this legal. You can do a Verein for everything you want. But as soon as you, for example, want to collect
dues,
want to collect something like dues, or want to collect sponsorships or so, then you need assigned roles like a CEO of the Verein. You need something who does the finances. You need something who is the Schriftführer, who does the protocol every meeting. It's really German.
Yeah.
But then you have this. For me, it was always like, I don't want to have to do anything with Vereine because it's so deeply German bureaucratic culture that everything in me is like, no. And when we entered the kindergarten, the kindergarten itself is organized as a Verein. It was a parents' initiative who founded this Montessori organization in Bielefeld, so that they have a Montessori children's house in Bielefeld. And it grew and grew and grew, and now there are 3 kindergartens and an elementary school. Then there's an organization that is really early supporting of children, like starting with 2 or 3 months old children, and all with the Montessori principles. So that really sounds to me like a DAO where people who said we want Montessori pedagogues or Montessori education for our children here in this town. There is nothing, so we started ourselves. And 35 years ago, in Germany, there only was the solution to start a Verein, a club. And that just reminded what you were describing. That reminded me of that, because it's open as well. You can say, okay, when are the meetings of the Verein? I want to dive into that. I want to get to know the people there, or I want to get to know more about the concept, whatever. Then you can go to those meetings and learn more about it, for example.
Yeah, very much so. And it's and again, from the research that I've done, it depends on the country and like the state and like how you're structuring it and what you're doing, because some of them are definitely going towards doing something that is a for-profit, which is of course very different from a non-profit type of a thing, and charity-based, things. So it depends on what the thing is to how the structure is. And some of them, of course, need a heavier, heavier, I don't know if that's the word, a more organized, dependable structure for that with somebody. Now, a lot of times the roles will rotate. Other times they won't rotate because there's one person who loves it and who says, okay, I'll do that. And then, and then when the money's coming in, then you get paid. And so this is also what's interesting, is that depending on your role, when you're coming in, so it's and my friend Jeremy is the one that told me about this, because he had had a few DAO groups hire him to talk about like how should they work on their structure or their meetings, and I'm like, what? Tell me more. And he said, so a lot of these DAOs, they're coming together, and again, it's like the Wild West. So there's just right now, and there's so many of them forming, and they need a lot. They need a lot of help. And so those of us who know something about putting groups together, it's a great opportunity because we can, hold on, I'll finish this real quick. And so so what he told me was that a lot of the DAOs, they have what they call it like a shopping list of what they're looking at the moment and what they need. And so I can't tell you where they get their money. Some of them have money, some of them have or they're investing in themselves, or they have an investor. I don't know. It depends. Some of them are starting on what they call a shoestring budget. So, they're all just investing themselves in it, or or volunteering to a certain point. Maybe they're all trying to build towards something to then get a contract. It depends on the group. But with, from what I understand with Jeremy, it's like, I could do a contract, and I haven't done one yet for a group because I'm still in the part of trying to figure out what I want to do for the groups. And so this is, again, this meeting that we're going to have this week with the future of work. I've got some suggestions, and one of which is I'd like to do workshops, and with their, under their name, sort of under an umbrella, and then say, okay, let's say I get, a chunk of money from the people signing up, and then it goes, the other part of it goes into the community. But you get to decide. Nobody's telling us what we have to do, at least not in this one. Some of them, they already have a structure, and they go, okay, well, this is how we work. Others are just, they're figuring it all out right now. And if you like being part of the team, figuring it out, like me, that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun.
I just remembered, you answered my question already, because I wanted to ask, when he is hired, when Jeremy is hired from DAOs, where do they get the money from to hire him? Because hiring implies for me that he gets something for his consultant.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the interesting thing was that guy says, we need this, 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 and this. And he said, this is what we have on our list. He said, but if you can think of something that we need, what do you suggest? Like, what company says that to you? Nobody. And it's not just that one DAO. They're all kind of like that. They're all like, hey, suggest, what do you think you can do? Like, how do you think you can fit in here? Which is just, as a neurodivergent, I mean, why would I want to work with anybody else except for DAOs? If these people are already on this level and already that open-minded, why the hell would I want to work at a regular company? I would want to go in someplace and go, hey man, I got a lot of ideas. I'm the idea person. So now I'm kind of, when I talk to people, I'm starting to get known by the fact that I am an idea machine. It's like, hey, let's ask Sharon. She's got all the ideas. And I mean, that's just, I've never had groups of people recognize me for that super skill in my superpower. And that blows my mind.
I think a lot of people would be totally overwhelmed with that, and would go like, I want a company where I show up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then they tell me what I have to do, and then I go home at 6 or at 4 or at 5, and in the end of the month I get paid and all is fine. And I guess a lot of people would be really scared if they get asked, okay, what could you do for us? And you can start on the green lawn. as we say here. Or
and you're exactly right, because I ask that of people that I've collaborated with. I'm like, well, what do you want to do? Because I'll say something like, yeah, I've got this opportunity. Where do you see yourself in it? And they're just, you know, they're like, they don't know. They can't tell me. And I'm like, why can't they tell me? Why don't they know that? And so finding groups of people that are like me, that love this and that can say, or that, or maybe they can't, but they like working with people who can. This is what is such an amazing thing, because it's another way of working. And this is the future of work. It's another alternative to the industrialized work machine that has been the predominant work culture since the industrialized revolution.
And I think, I mean, one thing you really need for that is patience, I guess.
What do you mean?
Patience and
in what way?
First the open-mindedness and then the patience. I was just reminded of the founding of another Verein I'm still a member of. That's the Tiny House Bielefeld. And I was there when the whole organization started. I think 4 years ago. Those were people who are interested in tiny houses.
Yeah.
And in particular, starting a village somewhere here in Bielefeld with tiny houses. And there were, it's funny because when I try to remember how it was for me when I came there for the first time, because on the one hand, they were really, in some ways, they were really ahead in the organization, for example, of this club or this fine. But everything that had to do with the tiny house and the jurisdiction of building houses in our region, what you need, technical things.
The admin stuff.
Yeah, not the admin
you mean
stuff,
like
but
the
also
permits?
The permits.
You mean like the permits? That's
the
admin.
permits,
That's
okay.
admin.
Okay, that's admin. Okay, but also, what you can build a tiny house of, or on which foundation as a trailer when you want it on wheels, can you build on, and all those things. My girlfriend and me were into, like 3 years before I went to the first meeting there. So I thought, okay, I go to this first meeting and I see what I can learn there or what I can find out about tiny houses there. And in the end, there were a lot of things I could help them, which I absolutely didn't expect. Because I thought, okay, they are starting the tiny house club here in the town, so they are experts. But they weren't. They just they had the same mindset that you were describing. They had the mindset, we would like to have this here in this town. Let's find other people, and then let's see what we can do.
Right.
And it took them, that's what I meant with patience. I mean, back then, we really wanted to have a tiny house. After the pandemic, I have a completely different opinion on that. But lockdown on 20 square meters is not a good idea.
With a kid.
And we are not outside people. We don't like to go outside. So if you just have this tiny house and a little bit of green surrounding, then you have to use outside the whole day, and that we don't like it all free. but what I learned was that you really have to be patient and go in really baby steps, so that all in the organization can be an active part in it. And my nature is more like, okay, let's do next, let's tick it off the to-do list, let's go fast. And I was completely wrong there.
Well, see now, okay, this is a fixed place. It's live in person, but I guarantee you, if you looked online to DAO groups with tiny houses,
yeah,
and there would be a lot of different ones, and there's probably every flavor and speed of progression to fit everybody.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee not everybody's slow.
Yeah.
Sometimes it moves too fast for a lot of people. They go, wait, we're not ready yet. And they're like, come on, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And so it depends on your flavor. But this is what's so great about now.
Yep.
Is that now there are so many, and they're just exploding. Every day there's, hundreds more because people are starting these things. And so there's one to fit everybody. And if there's not, maybe start one yourself.
Yeah, you start one yourself and start it the way you would like, because the chance that people who would like to go at the speed you are going,
right.
I mean,
they're out there. They're out there.
They're out there. You just have to find them and have to invite them. And
exactly.
I just wanted to close on the thought that the patience and the slow and steady wins the race. I went. It was right before the pandemic. I went with 2 people from this tiny house club to the political party in the town, who is the how do you say it, the ruling party?
Yeah,
I guess. The party that's in admission right now.
Yeah.
The Social Social Democrats here in Bielefeld, and we went there and we talked to their CEO there, and they were really interested in the whole tiny house thing. And what made them interested was that we could tell them, okay, we already have 45 members in the club,
right?
Registered members who paid the entrance fee of 20 euros or so. So it had much more weight when you can say, okay, we have this organization, and we have this organization where 20, 50, 70 people already are.
And it's not just an organization, it's a community.
Yes, it's a community.
And so when you walk in, exactly what you're saying, when you walk in, you can come up with your community in front of something as a community. And exactly what you said, it carries more weight. It carries more weight. And if, as a community, if you put your focus on something, we can accomplish amazing things together.
Yeah.
But it's not something that somebody's forcing us to do. It's the passion of the subject that binds everybody together with the DAOs. Yeah.
And I just realized, the passion of the DAOs. I have to write that down. I just realized that I didn't understand it that way yet, but that DAOs might be the perfect fit for me, because what I didn't like was the going to meetings, and most of the people in this tiny house club were like, no, not digital, let's meet in person, that is so much nicer, and blah. And that was like, no, I don't want to see people in person. I want to stay at home. I don't want to sit in a bar that is loud and where you have to order drinks and to have like an hour of small talk until you can start to work on everything that has to do with the original topic.
Well, that's the difference between a DAO and a Verein, okay, and a club where it's like a hobby of something.
Yeah.
You know, DAOs have a particular thing that they're interested in and they're aiming their focus at. That's why they're together.
Vereine as well. They have the interested. This particular one has the interest to say, okay, we want to have a village of tiny houses in our town. Fair enough, but you have to pay the price of socializing with people.
There you go.
And meeting in person, even if you are not feeling like it.
Yeah.
And with the DAOs, I mean, you can have not only decentralized organization, you can also have the asynchronous communication and the coming together asynchronously. So you don't have to be in the same room or in the same Zoom room for everything. You can use Slack, for example. And when people in India are starting talking about a topic like 8 hours before you get even up, then you can join in the conversation like the 24 or 48 hour event you did. It
was around the clock.
I just realized it was around the world, and so around the clock, because otherwise you would exclude people in Asia, or you would exclude people in the US, or you would exclude people in Europe.
And again, not everybody's into that. I particularly like it. I like having the cultural diversity. I like the global aspect of, moving humanity forward and or just, supporting the forward movement of humanity, not necessarily. But it's like if you take the tiny house example, you could have somebody in another country on the other side of the world, let's just say, doing like the blueprints of the houses that you guys decide to build, that then you send off to somewhere else. Nobody has to be together in this day and age. Nobody has to be physically together, which is what's amazing for neurodivergence, because it's the number of people that are coming together with these amazing skills, and they're so brilliant, but everybody is used to feeling like an outsider. But it's like, oh my God, I found my tribe. So it's like finding neurodivergent tiny house enthusiasts. Yes? Okay, they're out there, trust me.
There you, if you want to live together with those, that might get difficult at some point, because at some point, if you really want to live together, you have to get together.
If the piece of property is big enough, you can work around that. But that's again.
Place. But but that's a good point. I just thought when you said to move humanity forward, if that's a goal, to move humanity forward, then you have no other way to do it globally, because otherwise it's regionally, and you're not going to push forward humanity. Or if you're trying to push humanity without being globally, you are doing colonization. You are trying to push your point of view or your culture onto the whole world.
Your agenda, yeah.
And you have to do it globally, or at least invite the whole world to join your organization.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not going to work.
I agree. And
I'm starting to understand the genius of DAOs.
And I'm curious, when we talk again, you go, oh God, I researched this, I researched that. Oh my God, I can't wait for that. When you come back and tell me like what you found, it's like, I'm in love. And
my thought was that I thought DAOs are about the technology they are driven by.
No,
and
no.
not that it's about the
tool.
mindset or the people and how you are getting together with them. So
The technology is just
I always
a tool.
thought it's a fancy it's like a DAO is that's why my question in the beginning was, okay, is there a specific tool set or a checklist what you can do? I thought a DAO is like we have this web-free communication tool and we have this web-free JavaScript, Node.js web server technology that no one understands, and so that that it's excluding a lot of people up front that are not understanding the technology and how to get in there or how to use it. That was my impression of a DAO.
Ah, okay. Well,
So
glad
turn around
we could.
completely.
You.
Yeah.
Glad I could change that for you. No, that's why it's it's exciting, is because with these people I can say with no, before I was like, oh God, they're using that, I can't use that, and I wouldn't say anything about it. I would just slowly disappear because it's too difficult to work with them with the tools that they've chosen. And so now I tell people right out of the gate, again, but it's because of also the way that there's more talk about neurodivergence since the pandemic. And because one of the communities I'm involved with, and they're going to talk about in the meeting this week, is like, okay, who wants to step into what roles to keep this smoothly moving, and that we have kind of regular meetings maybe, or semi-regular meetings, or how do we do this? So this is one of the things we're going to be talking about. And I pretty much told them right away, I said, okay, look, with my neurodivergence and ADD and the dyslexia, it's like the thing of I can't be a secretary. Making me in charge of scheduling and following up things, bad idea. This is a bad idea. And so it's, that can't be me. But I could do this, or this. I could do other things. And what I can help with, and what I've told them, is I can help them with the culture of their community. I can help with onboarding. I can help with helping to curate the people that are coming in. I can help with finding out what people's superpowers are by doing interviews. That I could do. And so I named all the stuff that's fun and that I can do and that I enjoy doing, because that's what it needs to be. Yeah. So these are where my skill areas are. And it's like, and ideas, of course. If you want to know how, like what can you do if you have like a certain budget of something, a certain budget, no budget or whatever, I'm good at that. I can think of a ton of stuff to do that can get attention and that can maybe attract new people to the community. I'm real good at that. And so, I know that my skill set in certain groups is highly valued. And so these definitely are going to be the groups that I end up participating more with. I'll have to sit in the meetings and listen to a bunch of the admin stuff, and I can add to it somewhat, or pull up and say, okay, if you're going to choose that tool, you need to know that some people who are, that you're attracting everybody, neurodivergents have a hard time using that particular tool. Yeah. Stuff like that. Yeah. And so
did I tell you about the I'm on the supervisory board of this Montessori Verein. Since the school vacation is over, the summer vacation is over. Did I tell you about the WhatsApp group? The WhatsApp group incident?
No.
So we.
Well, wait. Okay, now can you talk about it in public?
Yeah, I can talk about it in public. It's like we had a meeting right before summer vacation, And it was clear after the summer vacation, we have to organize the summer festival or summer party for the 100 employees of the whole organization.
Okay.
I didn't pay that much attention to this WhatsApp group, or it's a Signal group. That's another problem. It's a Signal group and not a WhatsApp group.
Okay.
It's a technological problem that is getting clear in a minute. And after they started working on the organization of the party right after school start. And from Wednesday to Sunday, I looked into the group on Sunday when I had the time, and from Wednesday to Sunday, they managed to accumulate 27 minutes of voice messages.
Oh my God.
Like 11 people not communicating in text, just communicating in voice messages. And I'm pretty rigid about that. And I said, I wrote in the group, sorry, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to step on anyone's feet, but I don't have the time to listen to half an hour of your fucking voice messages. I don't want to because I'm not.
Did you actually say it like that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I said it, but without the fucking.
Yes.
I don't want to listen to that. I don't have time. Signal. You wanted to use Signal because you are so data whatever, and you think WhatsApp is the devil. On WhatsApp, I at least can listen to it on double the time or on double the speed. In Signal, I can't. I'm not going to listen to any of the voice messages, and we can't archive them. We can't find a particular message if you don't write down a subject. And then the argument that often comes with using voice messages, I try to address that up front. I said, okay, and I can understand most of you have kids. It's totally easier to just speak in your phone for a minute or two instead of writing it down. It's okay.
However,
it's okay. It's okay with your friends, but this is a professional group, and just to try, help you understand what's the problem here. We have 27 minutes of voice message that we have to listen to, and we are 10 people that have to listen to, though. We are 11 people all together, but 10 people have to listen to all these messages. That makes 4.5 hours of lifetime. That's in the time frame from Wednesday to Sunday that is burned with that.
Yeah.
Please take the time, write your points down so that we can archive it and that we can find what we said. The funny thing is, nobody replied to that. Nobody replied to it. They all started writing, but nobody said something in the channel. But on this party, 3 or 4 people took me to the side and said, "I'm so glad you did that."
Right. Now, see, this is where I work. This is one of my specialties, is talking with the community or talking with the people. It starts with the core, of course, but then it radiates outwards. But it's the culture. And it's like, what are the norms and boundaries of the group? And helping to set that. And I don't determine that. It comes from the group. But what kind of group do we want to be? And it's like, and listening to everybody and saying, and so then there you kind of have sort of a consensus, and some of the stuff you start off, because it's like a living document, because if people change, then the culture changes.
Yep.
It's logical. It's got to be a living document and say, okay, right now, this is what we want. These are our values. This is our vision. This is our everything. This is what we want. This is the kind of the set, the building blocks of it and the cornerstones. Yep. And then how do we want to interact? But to make the decision about that, and then then there's no like talking. It's like, oh, I'm really glad you said that, and everybody kind of like they're a little bit uncomfortable with other people. So if you remove that stuff, you can move forward so much easier.
Yeah.
And it's almost effortless. And I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to cut out all conflict. It doesn't mean that, but it's like, how quick can we get back to like the baseline of good communication, good, clear communication? And so this is what I do to help facilitate that. And the startup group that I'm working with, the surfing community, and it's very exciting because they're young and they're so smart. And they're so much fun, and they're like 26 and 27, and then they're the start, they're the core. And I advised them. I said, set it up like a DAO, where, because they were like, we want everybody to be in. And I'm like, I said, you probably want to, with this thing, you probably want to hang on to the control of it, so that you two can be the core. But then you have concentric circles of decision-making ability, and you don't just give it away. People have to, there has to be a probationary period of like, are they really in? Do they really, are they really committed to this thing that you're building? And how much are they, wanting to work or form something or create something? And decide those people, the people in the kind of the inner circle have a higher level of decision-making capacity, and then the outward circles, they have a lower percentage of decision-making capacity, but everybody does. Everybody has a word. Everybody, has a say, and that's an amazing thing. And so they're forming it like this. And so I'm working with them very intensively right now about their culture and the boundaries and the communication and the norms. So this is what we're working on right now. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Yeah. But it's the thing of like, we have, for example, I did this thing with, somebody did the logo. One of the founders did the logo, and I've been doing the surfboard art. And so I did this graphic really quick, so that the guy who does this other artist who does the animation of figures or something. And so I had a conversation with him, and I said, well, how do you like to work? What do you need? How do you best like to work? What ticks you off? What frustrates you? But it's like knowing what people want and how they like it, helps you work with it. You have to get to know them. But it's the first time that I've worked in a collaboration on a piece of artwork. Now, I've done other collaborations, of course, lots of collaborations, but I've always done my art singularly. And so that was a first. And so it's like, oh my God, like now we have to have a discussion of, if something is sold as an NFT, how do we split up the percentages? And so we're going to have that conversation this week on Wednesday. But as you move along, you're like, oh, okay, wow, now we need to have this discussion. Yeah. And so we're making it up as we go along, but it's like some of the stuff, there's no template for it. There's templates for other things that are kind of close to it. So, but that you just have to kind of navigate along and set it up how that the best that it can be for your group. Because if you just take a template off the shelf of how to set something up like this, because I mean, in the thing of NFTs, it's completely different, and it's like so we're all learning together, which is pretty cool. But starting off and building something with this group of people from scratch, and they want to use the community, and they want to use the NFT tokens to as value to for whether somebody without getting into it too deeply, whether if they're part of the community, certain people have certain tokens for depending on the level of involvement that they're either taking from the community or giving value to the community. So it's very, very interesting. Definitely new way of working, definitely new way of interacting and contributing. But it has a lot of, with this particular group, with the surf community group, they have, one of their big goals is conservation, of course, of the sea and wherever whatever they're doing, a part of that, it's connected to that. So what their vision is, but also empowering and helping people who are within this community. If you want to do something, for example, say there's a surf athlete who's maybe semi-pro or something, and maybe they want to give lessons and they live in Portugal. And they say, okay, if somebody comes out to Portugal, I'm available for lessons and it costs this much. You know, this type of thing. So there's you know, for me it's exciting because I can say, all right, you know, if there's you know, some engineers or something, or, I don't know, leaders in their industry that are surfers, hey, let's do a retreat where, you know, there's surfing and then, like, you know, kind of you know, leadership workshops, things attached to it. You know, how about that? And we can make it whatever we want to.
I just had an idea. I just had to Google
Do share
him.
it with the class.
I just had to Google him. Back in 2007, 2008, I supported several students of who were studying marketing at a little private university in Bielefeld, and one of the guys I supported with his bachelor thesis. He finished his thesis, but then went on and started a surf school. So I just maybe I could get them in contact with him in northern Germany, because he is like kite surfing, windsurfing, stand-up
That would be
paddling,
cool.
and maybe, but I think he is still into the whole digitization thing as well.
Cool.
Maybe
That's
that
perfect
would be
fit.
interesting.
Yeah, because they were just out in Biarritz at the Web3 conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just, but I'm not but yes, and you, I think you still have to bring some patience to starting a DAO, and a lot of listening and a lot of asking those questions to people, like how would you like to work, what would you like to bring in, or would you just like to listen. And I could imagine, especially for the people who start something like this, in the beginning, the first 5 or 10 people that join your organization, they all bring something new to the table. And then I think then it kind of might get interesting, or could start to be more difficult when people join the DAO and you have to communicate things over and over and over again. So the documentation of how you got to the place, or how you got to the state the organization is, then needs to be really clear and needs to be really multi-channel-ish.
Yeah, that's exactly the point,
Like,
that I'm at
text,
with a few of them.
You need text, you need visuals, you need audio, maybe where people are talking about, or where people can listen to it. You maybe need videos to explain every detail of the whole organization. Why are we doing this like we are doing this? Because otherwise I think it's going to exhaust all of the people that were there in the beginning if they have to explain something over and over again, and new people might ask the same questions over and over and over again.
You're exactly correct. And this is the thing that is, I told them, I said in the beginning, until they have this stuff in place, they're going to get really tired of telling this story over and over and over again. But what's important is to have it consistent enough. And so this is what I'm practicing with them.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing a lot of coaching in this area. So it's not exactly an elevator pitch, but it's like, I'll say to them, okay, what's your vision? What's your this? What's your that? And they have to repeat it to me because it's they have to know it. And it's like, then you ask anybody else in the configuration, what's the vision of this of this thing, of this community? What are the rules of this community? And so everybody needs to know it. It has to be saturated. And the groups that are going to be the healthiest and most smoothest working are the ones that are going to get this part correct. Yeah. Now, what we're doing, it's like what they say on their, what they've already published, is that they have, and I am in the place for this community, for this endeavor, this project. I am the designated coach for the core team and for the community. Mm-hmm. And you don't see that almost nowhere. No. Nobody has a designated coach for the community. And so this is what we're doing. This is what we are, this is my role, one of them, and one of the resident artists. And because I want to do that too, I'm not going to take one or the other because I am a polymath and I want to do it all. I want to use all of my super skills. So that it's important, and especially for investors, because they want at some point to have investors in this. And that is attractive to investors. And we've already had a couple of people say, wow, I've never heard of anybody having a designated community coach. And it's like, well, we've got one, and it allows them to have kind of bragging rights about it and to show that they're committed to the health of this project. Mm. Because again, when you start off something, you might have the founders in the core group that are perfect for starting it off. But then once it reaches another phase, which it will, can the core group adapt to that? And then the next question is, what do you have in place to ensure that the core group can adapt to that? And or are they sophisticated enough in terms of emotional intelligence to realize that they need to step aside and put somebody else in that position, and they better serve the whole project from this position? So that, because these two people, they're really cool because they say, we don't, yes, we're starting this, but we don't want to have our ego anchor it and keep it from growing how it needs to be growing. The younger generation is phenomenal, I think. They're not as ego invested in something as, like say, my generation. It's very, very hard to let somebody to let go of the death grip of something that they've created, And it doesn't mean that they're giving up their, their ownership, but they're, it's like it's just quite different how the communities can be and how you can use the power of a community to move something forward. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you have to start really from the beginning, and that's maybe why this fit is so perfect. So with your knowledge and superpowers and experience on the one hand side, and we are starting from scratch, being really young, maybe not had that much really bad experiences in the corporate world, for example.
Yeah, they're not as jaded as some of the older people.
I would like to. I mean, my experiences in the corporate world were heavily on the positive side, I would say. So what you described as the community culture manager, I would say I know at least 3 companies who have that in their HR department, who have that in their onboarding processes for new employees, who have really sophisticated onboardings for customers. So I would say there are some companies that do that, or that
Yes.
care that care about that, but it's maybe in the 1 or 2%.
Yeah, it's
range.
not the norm. It's not the norm.
For me, I'm in a filter bubble of companies where it is more like the norm. And I just today had a conversation with a guy from an agency who explained their philosophy of working, of project management, of how the developers, clients, project management are working together, and it's really quite on an eye level, or all are on the same level. And only because somebody is called a project lead, it doesn't mean that she or he is in any way above somebody else, or has to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
But that grew because they started the whole agency as students 20 years ago, and really grew that culture. And they for example, they say, okay, we are using agile methods, but we are not using them by any agile book.
Right.
We are using them like we can make sense of them, or we can use them.
And that is actually real agile. That's actually real agile.
Yeah, that is real agile.
As soon as you say agile by the book, it's like it's a misnomer.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of really big corporations who want to be agile, and so they hire like 20 people who have some agile in their on their business card. Yeah. And say, okay, now make us
we're agile.
Make us some agile processes, please. Now.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't work that way.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we should wind this down.
Yeah.
And it's probably a good place to end. And that was an interesting talk. The time just flew by.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really enjoy. I think it's the DAO subject and the DAO opportunities. Obviously, I'm really passionate about it because it's. Again, I'm a beginning learner, but what I've seen so far and the interaction that I've had so far is, it's different. And I want to reiterate that for a lot of neurodivergence, this is an opportunity for us to shine and for people to recognize what we do. So I would encourage people. If you've always felt frustrated by people not recognizing what you do or how you do it, or not listening to your ideas, check out some of the DAO communities and see what you can offer. See, just kind of hang out, touch your toe, dip your toes in the water of different communities, and see if they need your help. Yeah. So pretty much end on that.
Maybe we can put. I will look into some DAOs myself, and then we can put some maybe in the show notes, some links.
Well, I'm going to put the two, like the surf community that I'm involved with, because it's people. You can watch it grow, because they do a lot on Instagram. This is one of the things they said. I told them, I said, okay, I can help you with LinkedIn. Whereas they're younger, so they don't really use LinkedIn, not like I do. But I know young people
the
that
people
are very,
we want to
good
avoid.
at LinkedIn. No, not necessarily, but I mean, I find a lot of brilliant conversations and brilliant people on LinkedIn. But I don't use it like marketing. I don't use LinkedIn. Put it this way: I don't use LinkedIn for what it's built for. Because I don't do this average marketing on LinkedIn. I don't do that. What I do is build connections on LinkedIn.
Let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. I would be really suspicious if 2 or 3 surfers come out of the water with their boards under their arms and they say to me, "Hey, could you contact me on LinkedIn?" That would be really strange.
Do you think? No, because I don't think so, because I know a couple of people who do surf and they do use LinkedIn. There's these guys, they tend to use, actually 2 of them really are very big on Instagram. So they're starting the Instagram channel, and then some of the other channels. And I told them, I said, okay, don't rely on me for that, because I don't have the attention span. If I get into it, if like they say, if you're gonna build the beast, you have to feed it. So Instagram, I've just stayed away from.
I know what you mean. Most surfers have a job as well, but I just wanted to say, in my mind, surfers are more connected with the Instagrammy or YouTubeish or more visual life, and not the business life. Of course, they can work in a business world.
But see, this is the thing that people have always thought. There's a lot of the surfers that are completely low tech, and they don't want to have anything to do. So it's like, okay, how do you keep a community, a thing around surf, where everybody's included? You can't have it be too technical, where the people who are very analog aren't going to want to have anything to do with what you're using, all the tools. Yeah. I agree. And so so it's like, what can you do that will interest kind of that community on a number of different levels? Because I know a bunch of engineers that surf. So, it's such a cool mix of people that are involved with the sport. The one thing that ties them all together is the love of nature and the sea. And so this is the common ground that we're focusing on and going from there. Yeah.
Cool.
Voila. Anyway,
Et voilà.
So, et voilà. So
I am really on the edge of my seat here, because I want to read a little bit about DAOs.
So I'll let you go and jump down the rabbit holes of.
Yes.
And say, see you in about 3 months. Nah.
I'm
Alrighty
too
then.
impatient for that.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.